We've so far created a 2-column layout using Brick's automatic layout generator. In this lesson, we'll begin creating another layout, 3 columns this time, with a more manual approach. I mean, sure, a great deal of the time you'll just hit the layout icon on a container and generate your column layouts automatically. Why not? It's easy. And if that's all you ever do, that's great. But I want to take the opportunity in this lesson to show you how to create layouts more manually, so you understand what's actually happening and therefore have complete control of your layouts in future. We're going to create this section here. Very simple. It's another section with 3 columns this time, also with a background color on the section. Now we're going to create the basic column structure in this lesson, and then we'll add the content in the next. Let's get on with it. Here's the section we built last time. So in the structure panel, let's just collapse everything down with the collapse icon here. To add a new section, we come back to the elements list. Remember, you can hit Control or Command and then E on your keyboard, E for elements, and just start to type to filter the list down. I'll hit the Tab key to select the section and then hit my Return key. Let's check over in the structure. Here we go, a section with a container inside it for free. Great. Now notice how the section and the container have the default padding that we set in theme style in the last module. We don't have to set those manually. Now to create our 3 columns. In the last lesson, remember we just clicked the layout icon on the container just to add the columns inside it. And there is nothing wrong with doing that. But we're creating a layout more manually here. So I'm going to come back to the elements. You might remember me mentioning a few lessons ago that for columns, we use the block element. Actually, if you know a little bit about HTML, here's a bit of insider info for you. All 4 of these layout elements here are just HTML divs, each with slightly different default settings to make them suitable for certain layout tasks. I'll go over what those different properties are in a moment, but I'll pop a note below the video as a reminder. By the way, a div, if you don't know, is basically a wrapper that you wrap around things like your actual content. Divs are often used for layout purposes, like making columns, though they don't have to be. So the section is actually just a div, but it's been given a section tag instead. So that tells search engines and screen readers that each one is a new section of the page. The container is also a div, just with a setting to make it centered on the page, like containers do. The block element, again, is just a div. Now, to explain what special properties blocks have, let's first add 3 of them to the canvas to make our columns. I already have the container selected, so I could just click the block and that adds 1 column. Not very obvious at the moment, so let's go see in the structure panel. Here it is. It's called a block when we add it manually. And that block so far, as you can see on the canvas, fills the full available width it has to play with. And that is because that's what the block element does. It fills all the available width, which is what we want for columns. Also, notice in the settings panel for blocks, blocks already have display flex set on them, which basically means that they are ready to act as a flex parent, so that then we can use flex styling on them to align any child elements inside the column, which you will often want to do. Oh, and let's not forget the div element. Back to the elements list. This is, well, a div. Obviously, it's just a bare bones div. It doesn't fill all the available width like blocks do. It'll only be as wide as it needs to be for the content inside it, nothing more. And it doesn't have flex set on it. And if the practical applications for all of that aren't clear for now, don't worry, they will be. It's just great to have all of this flexibility and options. But all you need to know right now is for columns, use the block element. Now to add 2 more blocks. I could just click or drag another block and another, or instead, let's come over to the structure panel. Another option is to right click on the block and choose duplicate. Note the keyboard shortcut there for future reference. It's very handy. Or yet another way, if I come up 1 level, select the container and then right click and we can insert a block here. And that just inserts it inside the container at the same level as the others. And see also on the insert block menu item, you can also hover a bit over to the side and make it insert a container instead, or insert a div if you prefer, all right from this menu. It is so flexible. Anyway, enough talk. We now have 3 blocks on the canvas, all doing their blocky thing. They're filling the available width and they're stacked on top of each other by default. We need them side by side. To do that, a reminder again, to affect the blocks, we need to set flex styles on their direct parent. So make sure to come up the structure and select the container. Then set the direction to horizontal. Nice. And notice how these blocks are all equal width by default. So if you don't set a specific width on them, they just take up equal width side by side. We're going to later create a layout with variable width columns, don't worry, but this is perfect for what we need. Oh, and also add the column gap, 2.5 rem. That's better. And for this lesson, let's leave it there. Okay, I know that was a little bit more long-winded than just hitting the layout icon like we did last lesson, but I think it's important that you understand what's going on so you have full control. Now, it is your turn to create the 3-column layout the same way. Add a new section and container and then add 3 blocks inside it. Set the direction on the parent container to horizontal row and don't forget to add the column gap. That's it. Next, we'll quickly add the content and I'll show you how easy it is to center content with Flex. See you there.